Close your eyes and listen. What you are hearing right now is not silence. It is the sound of 3 million tons of black, freezing seawater pressing against a 2-inch layer of reinforced titanium. It is the low, rhythmic thrum of industrial life support scrubbers fighting a losing battle against carbon dioxide. It is the sound of the abyss. When you accepted the position as Director of Tactical Risk Management for the Aegis Trench Initiative, you thought you were taking a high-paying retirement gig. You were a decorated military veteran, tired of desert sand and proxy wars. A private corporate contract on a stationary research platform sounded easy. They offered you a salary with 5 zeros, premium offshore tax exemptions, and a private suite. They told you the facility was conducting cutting-edge marine biology and deep-crust thermal drilling. They lied. The ocean is not empty. The deeper you go, the more the sunlight fades, until the light is completely gone at 1,000 meters. But the real horror doesn't start where the light ends. The real horror starts where the corporate funding begins. Today, we are going to descend into the darkest, most heavily classified industrial installation on planet Earth. We are going to walk through all 10 levels of your security clearance. You will watch your duties shift from basic surveillance to active corporate espionage, and finally, to a desperate, claustrophobic struggle for survival against the things we woke up in the dark. If you think the surface world is corrupt, wait until you see what they bury at the bottom of the sea. Level 1. The Surface Guardian. Level 1 is the only part of your job that ever touches the sky. Your command center sits on a massive, converted oil extraction platform anchoring the entire operation in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. To the outside world, this is a dead commercial rig undergoing decommissioning. Your job up here is simple: atmospheric containment and administrative filtering. You spend your days under the blinding, salt-crusted sun, managing routine biometric scans for incoming technicians and monitoring radar sweeps for uninvited guests. Eco-activists, lost commercial vessels, and foreign surveillance drones occasionally drift too close to your perimeter. You deploy non-lethal acoustic deterrents, sign off on cargo manifests, and ensure the low-level deckhands don't take photos of the specialized, heavy-duty submersibles arriving on supply ships. Up here, everything feels normal. The air is clean, the crew laughs in the mess hall, and the corporate representatives from the upper management suite check in with polite, generic emails. But even at the surface, you notice the cracks in the narrative. Every piece of equipment arriving at the rig is military grade, heavily reinforced against extreme barometric pressure and stamped with unmarked serial numbers. The scientific staff arriving on the transport choppers don't look like marine biologists. They look like weapons researchers and biocontainment specialists. They are quiet, pale, and refuse to make eye contact with your guards. The choice. A young, mid-level communications officer is caught trying to send an encrypted personal email to his family detailing the exact coordinates of the platform. He begs you to let it slide, claiming his mother is gravely ill. Do you seize his equipment, lock him in a holding cell, and report him to corporate for an immediate contract termination? Or do you look the other way? You seize his phone, log the violation, and watch 2 unmarked security contractors escort him to a transport chopper within the hour. You realize obedience is the only currency that matters. You step into the heavy steel elevator cage. You press the button. You level up. Level 2. The pressure lock. The elevator takes 20 minutes to drop through the dark water before making a pressurized seal with the secondary staging area, located 2,000 feet beneath the waves. Welcome to Level 2. The sky is gone, replaced permanently by the oppressive gray architecture of the upper habitat. At this depth, the ocean is a freezing, pitch-black void. But inside the habitat, the air is thick, hot, and smells faintly of ozone and hydraulic fluid. Your responsibilities shift from monitoring external threats to managing human decay. The human mind was not built for prolonged underwater habitation. The absolute isolation, the lack of natural circadian rhythms, and the knowledge that a single microscopic structural failure means instant death creates a breeding ground for severe psychological instability. Your security monitors track a sharp spike in interpersonal violence, substance abuse, and unprovoked panic attacks among the maintenance crews. Men start whispering in corners. Some claim they hear rhythmic tapping on the outer hull, tapping that doesn't match the mechanical signature of the automated drills. Your guards spend their shifts breaking up fights in the cramped crew quarters and confiscating black market sedatives smuggled down in toolkits. The choice. The chief environmental engineer cracks under the pressure. He locks himself in the primary airlock control room, screaming that he needs to open the doors to let the voices in. If you blow the manual override, the sudden pressure shift might cause him severe physical trauma. If you wait, he might compromise the structural seals of the entire residential sector. Do you force the door immediately? You order the breach. The door blows, the pressure stabilizes, and the engineer is dragged away in restraints, his ears bleeding from the acoustic shock. You don't have time to feel guilty. You level up.
Level 3. The Classified Manifest. You are reassigned to Level 3, the industrial logistics hub sitting 4,000 feet below the surface. This is where the scientific data and physical samples collected from the ocean floor are brought for initial processing and distribution. It is also where you realize that your employer has been lying to you since day one. Your duties no longer involve protecting scientists. Your duties now involve protecting secrets. You are handed a new, restricted manifest that bypasses the standard corporate ledger. Massive, lead-shielded cylinders are brought up from the depot trenches in armored, unmanned heavy lifters. They aren't filled with deep-sea flora or mineral core samples. They are warm to the touch, heavily pressurized, and emit a faint, low-frequency electromagnetic hum that disrupts your security radios. You notice that the personnel operating on Level 3 are no longer standard corporate employees. They are elite private mercenaries wearing unmarked tactical gear, carrying suppressed weapons, and answering to a separate chain of command that completely ignores your authority. You are ordered to monitor your own security staff, checking their personal belongings for unauthorized recording devices or written notes. You are the warden of an invisible prison, keeping the people inside from knowing what they are actually building. The choice. During a midnight inspection of the cargo bay, you find a broken shipping container. Inside is a detailed architectural blueprint of the facility. It reveals that the station doesn't end at Level 5 like the public corporate documents claim. It descends 10 levels deep, straight into the uncharted depths of the Mariana Trench. Do you destroy the blueprint and pretend you never saw it, or do you download it to an encrypted drive for leverage? You copy the file to a secure, encrypted drive and hide it. You have officially crossed the line from a simple security guard to an active participant in a global conspiracy. You level up.
Level 4. The Blackout Protocol. At 6,000 feet down, you enter Level 4, the primary power and automated processing hub. The facility is powered by an experimental subcrust geothermal reactor that taps directly into the Earth's mantle. The noise here is deafening, a continuous low-frequency roar that vibrates through the soles of your boots and makes your teeth ache. This is where you experience your first blackout protocol. A sudden, catastrophic power fluctuation ripples through the grid. The main lights die instantly, replaced by the eerie, revolving crimson glow of emergency strobes. The automated security system locks down every door on the floor, trapping hundreds of staff members in pitch-black laboratories and maintenance corridors. Your earpiece explodes with chaotic radio traffic. Scientists are screaming for release as the primary oxygen scrubbers go offline. But your standing orders during a blackout protocol are chillingly specific. You are not to open the doors. You are not to assist the staff. Your sole priority is to deploy your tactical teams to the primary data vaults and burn any physical documents or server drives if the power failure lasts longer than 10 minutes. The corporate hierarchy cares more about data security than the lives of the people who generated it. The choice. A fire breaks out in Sector B due to an electrical short. A group of 12 researchers is trapped behind a reinforced security gate, begging you over the intercom to trigger the manual release. If you open the gate, you risk venting toxic smoke into the primary server rooms, potentially destroying millions of dollars of classified research data. Do you leave the gate locked to protect the data? You keep the gate locked. You listen to the intercom go silent as the smoke does its work. You look down at your hands and realize you are no longer a protector. You are an executioner for a faceless entity. You level up.
Level 5. The corporate asset. You are summoned to Level 5, the administrative nerve center of the underwater complex. The industrial pipes and exposed iron walls of the upper levels are gone, replaced by sterile white composite paneling, soft recessed lighting, and expensive leather furniture. It looks like a high-end corporate boardroom in Manhattan, but the view through the thick, reinforced acrylic windows is a terrifying wall of dark, freezing water. The regional director sits across from you. He slides a new contract across the table. The salary is double what you were promised, but the terms are absolute. You are being inducted into the inner circle. You are no longer just managing the facility's security. You are now classified as a corporate asset. Your new mandate is dark. You are given access to a hidden surveillance network that monitors every private conversation, every internal email, and every biometric data point of the staff. Your job is to identify defection risks, whistleblowers, journalists operating under false credentials, or scientists who are developing a conscience. You are handed a silenced sidearm and a case of untraceable chemical sedatives. When someone becomes a liability, they don't get fired. They disappear into the lower sectors, and their families on the surface are sent a forged letter claiming they died in a tragic diving accident. The choice. Your lead security lieutenant, a man who saved your life during a military deployment 10 years ago, approaches you in private. He confesses that he has been collecting evidence of corporate murder and plans to smuggle it to the surface. Your monitors have already flagged his conversation. If you don't eliminate him yourself, corporate will send their own hit team, and they will eliminate you along with him. Do you pull the trigger on your oldest friend? You look him in the eye, apologize silently, and slide a sedative into his drink before framing it as a sudden cardiac arrest. The corporate handlers nod in approval. You have proven your loyalty to the ledger. You level up.
Level 6. Sector 7 Containment Zone. Welcome to Level 6. The luxury of the executive suite disappears, replaced by the cold, dripping concrete of the deep trench containment zone. You are now 8,000 feet below the surface. The pressure outside is an unimaginable 4,000 pounds per square inch. This level is heavily fortified. Blast doors made of military-grade armor plates separate every corridor. Your guards are replaced by silent, heavily armed Black Ops contractors wearing full-body tactical environmental suits. The air here is freezing, and the walls sweat with condensation. This isn't a research lab anymore. This is a maximum security black site. Your duty is to monitor the structural integrity of the specialized holding cells. The corporate entity isn't drilling for oil or minerals. They found something down here, in the deepest fractures of the ocean floor. An ancient, predatory biological anomaly that defies modern science. It doesn't have a name. It is only referred to as the subject. The scientists are attempting to reverse engineer its cellular structure to create biological weapons, but the subject is volatile. It emits high-frequency bioelectric pulses that cause severe neurological damage to anyone within 50 feet of its containment unit. You must ensure that no staff member enters the perimeter without heavy lead-lined headgear, and you must authorize immediate lethal force if anyone attempts to communicate with whatever is inside those dark, fluid-filled tanks. The choice. A lead geneticist, her mind completely shattered by the subject's neurological pulses, attempts to disable the primary containment fields, claiming the entity is crying out in pain. She has her hand on the emergency purge switch. Do you attempt to talk her down, risking a total containment breach? or do you execute her instantly from the observation deck? You squeeze the trigger. She drops before her hand can hit the switch. The corporate machine cleans the blood off the glass and orders the research to continue. You level up.
Level 7. The Incident Cover-Up. At 12,000 feet down, you reach Level 7. The pressure is a crushing hand against the metal walls, and the entire facility creaks like an old wooden ship. This level houses the biochemical processing plants where the weapons-grade derivatives of the subject are synthesized. The nightmare happens at 0300 hours. A high-pressure line ruptures in Lab Gamma, exposing 42 high-level researchers to an airborne, weaponized pathogen that liquefies human internal organs within minutes. The infected do not die quietly. They become hyper-aggressive, their nervous systems hijacked by the toxin, throwing themselves against the reinforced glass windows of the laboratory, shattering their own bones in an attempt to escape. The automated containment protocols fail. The infection threatens to spread through the ventilation shafts to the upper levels. The regional director contacts you from a secure surface link. His instructions are cold. Initiate the total eradication protocol for Level 7. No biological material can leave that sector alive. Your security monitors show your own guards inside the sector, uninfected but trapped behind the automated emergency doors, screaming into their radios for you to open the locks. The choice. If you open the doors to let your uninfected guards escape, you risk venting the airborne pathogen into the core ventilation system, killing everyone in the facility. If you activate the eradication protocol, a chemical incendiary gas will flood the entire floor, burning every living soul, guilty or innocent, to ash. Do you burn your own men alive to save the corporate investment? You turn the key. The incendiary gas floods the sector. The monitors turn into a wall of white fire, and then absolute blackness. The radios go dead. You have officially wiped an entire floor off the map to preserve a corporate secret. You level up. Level 8. The Breach. You are called down to Level 8, the deepest automated drilling hub, sitting 16,000 feet down in the pitch-black heart of the trench. The structural walls here are 6 feet thick, made of a specialized tungsten-titanium alloy, but they are buckling. The drilling team went too far. They pierced a hyper-pressurized hydrothermal pocket that wasn't supposed to exist. But it wasn't just gas that escaped. Something massive, ancient, and violently hostile was disturbed by the corporate greed that drilled into its home. The alarms are no longer a controlled corporate warning. They are a frantic, screaming klaxon of absolute terror. The outer hull of Level 8 has been breached. Freezing, high-pressure seawater is jetting through the corridors like kinetic blades, cutting human bodies in half with the sheer force of the pressure. Over the security cameras, you see a massive, shifting silhouette moving through the flooded shadows. Something with immense, dark mass that crushes steel bulkheads like tin cans. The upper management doesn't hesitate. You watch your security monitors as the regional director and the high-level executives board the automated escape pods, launching themselves toward the surface and locking the lower elevator shafts behind them. They left you and the remaining 400 staff members down here to die in the dark. The choice. The remaining security forces are in a state of total armed mutiny, fighting each other for access to the few remaining low-depth submersibles. You can use your heavy weapons and tactical authority to seize the final submersible for yourself, leaving the remaining scientists to drown, or you can stay behind to manage a controlled evacuation. Do you abandon your post and run? You throw down your radio, drop your weapon, and force your way through the panicked crowd toward the final escape vehicle. Survival instinct overrides every contract you ever signed. You level up.
Level 9. Alone in the dark. The escape submersible fails before it can even leave the dock, crushed by a falling piece of industrial structural debris as the facility continues to collapse. Welcome to Level 9. You are 20,000 feet below the surface. The power grid is entirely dead. The emergency strobes have burnt out. You are completely, terrifyingly alone in the dark. Your world has shrunk to the narrow beam of your tactical flashlight. The air is freezing, thick with carbon dioxide, and the water is already up to your knees. Every breath you take tastes like rust and panic. The sounds are the worst part. The heavy, rhythmic groaning of the metal facility as it slowly implodes under the weight of the Pacific Ocean. But beneath the mechanical groans, you hear something else. Heavy, wet, slithering sounds echoing through the flooded ventilation shafts. The subject, or something worse, is hunting through the ruins of the facility, picking off the screaming survivors one by one. Your weapon is half empty. Your radio is dead, and there is no surface support coming. You are stuck inside a metal coffin at the absolute bottom of the world. The choice. You find an isolated, dry communications room with a functional emergency radio that operates on a localized, high-frequency bandwidth. You can hear a passing naval vessel on the surface. If you broadcast an open SOS, you will alert the world to the facility's existence, destroying the corporate entity's secrecy, but potentially saving your life. If you stay silent, you die in the dark. Do you send the broadcast? You scream into the radio, broadcasting the classified coordinates and the truth about what the corporate entity built down here. You choose to burn the company down with you. You level up.
Level 10. The Cleanup Crew. Against all mathematical and physical odds, you survive. You manage to climb the emergency vertical maintenance shafts, dragging your broken, hypothermic body up through miles of dark steel ladders as the lower levels implode behind you. You reach the surface platform just as the sun is beginning to rise over the horizon. The air feels incredibly sweet. The sky is a beautiful, brilliant blue. And you collapse onto the wooden deck of the main rig, gasping for life. You think the nightmare is over. You think you won. Then, you look up. The deck of the surface platform is not empty. It is covered in a dozen black, unmarked military helicopters. Standing in front of you is a line of fresh, elite private security contractors wearing pristine tactical gear, their weapons raised and pointed directly at your chest. Behind them stands the regional director, completely dry, uninjured, and holding a clean corporate folder. You realize too late that the ultimate security protocol of the Aegis Trench Initiative wasn't keeping people out. It was making sure that anyone who ever saw what was inside those deep-sea labs never returned to the surface to talk about it. The naval vessel you contacted on the radio didn't come to rescue you. They forwarded the transmission directly to the corporate headquarters. You are the final classified manifest. You are the last loose end that needs to be scrubbed from the corporate ledger. The regional director looks down at your bleeding, shivering frame with cold, empty eyes. He doesn't say a word. He simply nods to the men with the rifles. They held you. They owned you from the moment you signed that very first contract. And now, they are finally done with you. Welcome to the bottom of the ledger.